Guys, DJ here with GameTime Michigan, and we've got another episode of the GameTime podcast. Today we're going to be discussing Pokemon, and my special guest today is Chris, and Chris likes Pokemon, believe it or not. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris, for those that don't know.
Started getting back into the collecting when Scarlet and Violet hit. Just like everybody my age, I'm 38. So I was right in the initial boom, 96 to 99 when it first came out, did the collecting, put all the cards in my spoke tires, and now regret every single one of those.
How many Charizards got in the tires?
Endless. We didn't know back then. It was all like, hey, my bike sounds like a motorcycle now. Look at this.
Nobody even kept their cards in sleeves back then.
No sleeves. We were all brand new to it. Nowadays, we look back, we're like, we just gave away millions of dollars in our bike tires. Yeah, I got back into Scarlet and Violet, and I try to get a master set every time they come out, and then anything extra is bonus to pay for the next set comes out, because Pokemon loves to pound out the product every year.
It's not bad with the main sets, but when you get all these special sets in, especially when these special sets have 3 different releases, it's like main set, special, main set, all right next to each other. It's like, you got to give me time to work to build up the money to afford this stuff.
Yep. It's one of those worthwhile collecting areas, but it's also hard on the pocketbook.
Yeah. So. The nice thing about this, though, like the Pokemon hobby that other games don't really have, or other I shouldn't say games, we'll say hobbies, right? Other hobbies don't really have is what you acquire retains a majority of its value, if not increases in value over time, like 99% of the time.
100%.
So that's it's not like, say you are a recreational smoker, you go spend $20, you're going to smoke it up, it's just gone, right? You buy a Pokemon card for $20, sure, maybe the card drops to 10, but maybe it also goes to 100, or it just stays at 20. There will be resale value on it for you down the road should you want to take that route, right?
100%.
So, and that's kind of getting into the elephant in the room on it. That's kind of the big reason why we're in a situation we're in right now, as far as markets, is the cards have value, and people are seeing and realizing this value, and, they don't want to, now especially with this EV set, people don't want to FOMO.
No.
So you've got all your hobbyists trying to collect it. There's more new people getting in through Pocket each day, right?
Yep.
You've got all your big streamers, the Whatnot, the TikTok, the rip and ship culture is the biggest it's ever been. The PokeTubers are the biggest they've ever been opening product. So you've got much more demand on product there. And then you have scalpers moving into, and I don't even know if I like the word scalper, but guys that want to flip the product, right? They're buying it just to flip it.
Opportunist.
Sure.
So. You look at all, like I was telling you right before we went live here, sitting in the parking lot waiting to come in, and up pops a reel of semicircle people standing around a poor Meijer employee putting it on the shelves. As soon as he steps away and says go, it's a dog pile. Like, elbows flying, people are stealing it out of people's arms.
That poor guy, he's like getting paid $10 an hour. He's got like 50 people behind him frothing at the mouth. He's just there like, I don't get paid enough for this shit. That's what's going through his mind.
And just watching the Costco videos and all that are coming out.
Those Blooming Water Costco videos are absolutely insane. Insane. Well, so the Costco one is kind of like they brought it on themselves. I mean, they released the product a month and a half early.
Yeah.
So, of course, people are going to swarm there and try to, spend 20 minutes shopping to double their money, right?
Yep.
So I had I had some people. We had a midnight release for Prismatic last night here, and there were some people, that they brought their significant others or whatever too, right, or friends to kind of get more. I don't know. I didn't ask. I don't really care because they were different people. But we did have limits, and it looked like they were bringing extra people to get more for themselves. But hey, whatever. They stood out in the cold. When 11:20, I opened up at 11:30, so 11:20 at night. The line was all the way down past Play It Again Sports. Here, it was a long ass line. This was the biggest midnight release we've ever had. So it was close. There was I had just a few less for my Lorcana, the first set release for Lorcana. That one was nuts too, but that's like tied in with Disney and everything, right? Pokemon is actual Pokemon. It's a game. You don't really have a ton of outsiders coming in, whereas like for Lorcana, people that didn't know what a TCG was, but they liked Disney, they wanted that, right? Because that had it was new novelty.
Yeah. All the Disney guys were like, hey, it brings me back to my realm, and here we go.
Yeah, but let me tell you, those Disney guys, there's some very fanatical Disney people out there, and I've gotten messages from them before.
Oh, yeah.
It's not very fun.
Play.
No.
They make some of these Pokemon videos look like they're PG.
Yeah, they are. I wish I had something good to say, but like I've only experienced the bad side of the very fanatical Disney collectors.
Yeah.
So most people are fine though, but there's a couple where it's like I do get messages I wish I didn't get from them.
Yeah.
So you said you were collecting since Scarlet Violet started.
Mm-hmm.
What sets have you moved into? Were you just like Scarlet Violet block, or have you got like gone backwards some too to grab?
To go backwards. Gotten into the Sword and Shield era, and then I've kind of stopped there because it's so massive between the two. It's very time consuming and money consuming. So my eventual goal is to go all the way back and try my best to get a master set from every set that came out.
Okay.
Luckily, I still had a few of my older sets in storage and all that I found, and the cards are pretty rough, but hey, it's a set.
A set's a set. It's a good place to start, and then when you got nothing else to collect, then you can work on upgrading those cards.
Exactly. So, yeah, right now it's fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's fun. It's exciting. Just not seeing the prices online and how they've been doubling and tripling since I first got in the market. Like back when the boxes were $80-$90 a box for, Scarlet and Violet, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden MSRP kicked in and everybody started coming back to this side because they were done with Sword and Shield. And
80-90 was never sustainable because Scarlet Violet block era, stores pay more than 80 or 90 for a box. So it's like you see that online. The people that are selling boxes for $80 a piece, they're probably selling them at a loss. And even if they're not, it's like, I want to say you could get them for, back then, like Scarlet Violet base, if you got it at the pallet level where you were buying like 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 booster boxes, you're probably paying like $85 a box, right? So if you're selling it for 80 and change online, you're paying fees, right? Like if it's on TCG Player or eBay. Unless you're a huge seller on there, then you avoid the fees. But you still have to pay shipping. There's no avoiding shipping. Mm-hmm. And at that kind of, at that size, at that quantity, you're going to have employees and staff to pay.
Yep.
So the reality is most of the big ones online, I don't want to name any names, but there's a couple of big sellers on eBay, and you'll see a couple ones on TCG Player. They get boxes cheaper just because they're buying thousands at a time. They have special agreements in place with eBay and TCG Player to not actually pay fees on their sales, or like pay very, very reduced fees past a certain amount. And then they sell those boxes for like $2 to $4 profit per box. And they keep the margins so slim so that they can shut the door behind them so nobody else can sell the product online. And that had been like that for a while with Pokemon. And now you're seeing over like the last 3 to 6 months, really like the last 3, the door's kind of being shut on that just because of allocations. And kind of, some of the uproar is legitimate about things, but there's a lot of uproar too that it's manufactured, right? Mm-hmm. You're at the point where your big YouTube streamers, they can't pay people enough to steal product from the warehouses to get like 100 ETBs early anymore. So then it's like, oh no, I can't get it from my stream to make millions of dollars. There's a product issue. Pokemon should do something. And they're trying to leverage their fan base that way, right?
Right. It always cracks me up when I see these YouTubers out there. They're like, I opened 500 packs, so you don't have to. How the hell did you get 500 packs?
Yep. They either bought them cheap, somebody donated it to them because they're on stream, but either way, they're going to make like,
Millions.
$10,000 off the video. I did not sell at market. That's not correct. I was about 10%, 10 to 15% under market. There was no gatekeeping. It was first come, first serve with limits for everybody. I'm proud to say that everybody at the store last night was able to purchase multiple products, and I still have some left over today. So I appreciate, your comment about me being part of the problem, but you are in fact incorrect. But thank you for the feedback.
Can't make everybody happy. He must have only
No.
got one box last night.
What?
He must have only got one box last night.
Who knows? Who knows? I don't.
You have a good day though.
Yeah. I'm not too sure you understand what gatekeeping means, but that's okay. So, anyways, obviously we can talk about Prismatic some with that. The downside is where the market price is on everything for it. The upside is I think people are you got to remember, this is a specialty product. There's multiple releases. There's going to be a second and third release window for different product, if you go back to September of 23, 151 was 151 was pretty tight as well, product-wise. People looking for ETBs and bundles, they were very, very hard to get, right? And I mean, even here, I sold out of both of those my midnight releases for, and they reprinted UPCs at some point, and there was more product to get. And yeah, this EV set really was a black swan event as far as more people like EVs, more people are getting in the game through Pocket and watching streaming, right? You have this is really the first time there was a true God pack. 151 had like the half God packs, but like we have the same God packs as Japanese does, right? For this set, you have Master Balls and Pokeball reverses. First time Master Balls, that was exciting. EVs are super popular. It's a specialty set, so there's no booster boxes. The staggered release window actually hurts this because if we did have everything available at one release window, you have like 9 different products to choose from, right?
Yep. And Pokemon has become geniuses with that because with their staggered releases, falls right on your paychecks.
Yeah.
Release it on a Friday. Hey, I got paid. 2 weeks later, we're going to release this. Hey, I got my next paycheck. I can get some more.
Yep.
It's a marketing genius, but
it's got a benefit, right? Because if everything released yesterday, there'd be more to go around and there wouldn't be as much with the supply issues. But you show up at night or, release day or whatever, and it's like, I don't really want to afford 9 things at once, right? If you're trying to get on everything. But if it's split up into, like every month there's like 3 or whatever, right? It's more beneficial that way because you have time to kind of get more money under your belt for it.
Catch your breath, reload the bank account, and go at it again.
Yep. So what, let's see. What's your what has been your favorite set to collect?
So far that I know it's not a favorite set, but I'm always partial to the Paldea Evolved.
Paldea Evolved?
For some reason, I just like that set. And, I mean, you got the good chases in there.
Yep.
But, I mean, everybody's always like, oh, I want the Charizard, I want this, I want that. And I'm like,
You mean Paldean Fates, right?
No.
Paldea Evolved is Magikarp. There's no Charizard in Paldea Evolved.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody likes.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Everybody likes the Charizard sets, and I'm like, I kind of, I like the set where there's not a Charizard because there's not really that much demand for it.
Yep.
Because there's, like you said, there's no big Charizard hit. And he's my favorite too. So don't get me wrong, I love a good Charizard, but that Paldea Evolved set
It was a good one, and that's one of those things too. People are like, "Well, the chase card's $300. I can't afford it." But you have to remember, Magikarp on release week was $20.
Yes.
It sat at $40 for six-ish months.
Yep.
It went up to $80, was $80 short time, then back down to $40 for another amount of time. Right? It didn't break $100 for over a year. And now it's finally starting to run. Anybody that's complaining about Magikarp, you had a giant-ass window to get it.
Yep.
You didn't buy it. Now you want it because it's running because you want to ride the profits up.
Yep.
So
now because it's the hot card, all of a sudden you need it. And
Yep.
why is it $300?
Well, an Iono was the chase at the beginning. The Iono was like 130 to 150 depending on like exactly when in that window, right? And then now it's down to 70 or 80. Yeah. Yeah, it got down to like 50 at one point because I remember selling a couple here for like 50.
Yep.
And now it's back up a little bit just because Paldea is so far out of print, but
Yeah, just like all the sets. The farther you get away from it, the more people want it, and the higher the
yep.
price is going to be.
Look at Paldean Fates. That's a good one. The booster bundles of that are like there's like 5 or 6 on the open market. There's 2 on TCG Player, I think under 700 right now. And then there's one at like 7 and change, and then it jumps to 900 and 1200, and it gets nuts. And that's another one of those specialty sets. It was been out for about a year, and yeah, the bundles are a crazy price.
Yeah. I had one of those sitting on the shelf, and then had me a little apple juice stream, as they call it. And
Oh no, you opened that? Oh, how'd you do? Did you at least get good stuff?
you know what? It's been so long ago.
Don't remember?
It was your average opening. You know, you got your couple good hits here, but the majority was, just your middle of the road cards.
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary with that.
And then you look back, you're like, why did I have apple juice that night? That was a bad night for apple juice.
Yeah. You gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
I've had a story from a guy that has come in here, and he told me he got drunk one night, and he had first edition Team Rocket packs, and he opened like 8 of them in his like drunken stupor, and he woke up in the morning with like the wrappers on his bed or something, and realized like, oh shit.
Did you at least find all the cards, or were they?
I know at one point he didn't know where all of them were. I'm not sure if he found them, but he was like, DJ, I can't collect sealed product, and that's why I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to open it up, and I don't want that to happen. So, I mean, at least he knows, like, that would be bad if every so often he like buys these expensive packs and then wakes up to them being opened and still kept doing it. So,
Yeah, that's the night I realized that I'm in the same boat as him. I'll get my master sets, and then I can't keep anything in the room because the temptation will get there. And
that's so
unfortunately,
funny.
it's a win-win. You get cards for to send to PSA and try to add to the bank account for the next time.
Yep.
And then, but then you look back and you're like, well, I could have used instead of the 250 I got for opening them all, I could have used the 700 that it's worth now and just get rid of it all at once.
Yeah. Speaking of PSA, so I've got one of my buddies comes in. Well, I mean, guy I knew from my other store, right? He comes in, and he's kind of just your average guy, basically paycheck to paycheck kind of guy, buys a little bit of Pokemon every month, right? And so, like, this is kind of one of those, feel-good stories, right? I've probably told you about him before. So he's bought, over the course of 151's lifetime, he's bought, I think, 3 UPCs here. Mm-hmm. He's pulled a Charizard out of every one. So he's been lucky with that. So he has the extra Mews and Mewtwo's lying around, right? And I've been telling him for months and months because he's starting to, he's getting a little bit of a collection going with some nice cards. So I was like, dude, you should start sending these into PSA and see what you can do with it, right? And so finally convinced him. He took his stuff over to GameStop probably 2 or 3 months ago, and his GameStop stuff just came back. But, excuse me for 1 second. Hi, can I help you?
Yeah, I was looking for some of the prismatic evolution stuff.
Okay. I've got some of the 3-pack stickers left, but yeah, I don't know if it's alive.
Oh, okay.
So, I'd let you in, but I'm doing a podcast right now. I'm live on a podcast, so.
Oh, all right. Well,
Sorry about that.
it.
First time for everything.
Yep.
See, this is why I don't do podcasts at 3 p.m.
That's fine. Didn't matter if we did it at 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. Somebody's going to come to that door when I'm here.
Probably. So anyways, this he ended up, he took over 2 cards to GameStop. He took over, he had the cheap double rare Pikachu from Surging Sparks. I don't know why, I guess it was his favorite or something. I don't know why he did that. And then he took over one of the UPC Mews.
Okay.
The psychic one, right? Not the metal one. And he ends up getting it back. The Pikachu came back at 9. The Mew came back at 10. So in the time that his Mew was at PSA, it went from being like $100 and some 10 to he just sold it for like $355.
Awesome. Congrats.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, he was happy and he's like, "Oh, I get to buy more Pokemon with this."
Yep,
just
that's
keep the
exactly-
cycle going. So I told him, I was like, "Do you have any more of those Mew and Mewtwo's?" And he's like, "Yeah, I still got my other ones." Like, send them in, because the Mewtwo is even pushing 250 now as a 10.
It's just going through the roof.
Yeah,
It's
and that's
amazing to see.
basically every day you're having random, single card double in price, and it's absolutely wild to see. And then you had messaged me the other day, and it was like, you must not have checked prices in a while, right? When you
No,
messaged me like, "Holy shit, what's going on with the prices?"
Yeah, I kind of
So-
after Surging Sparks, I kind of backed off because I knew this one was going to be a big
Big
set,
one, yeah.
big money to try to get the whole master set with the master balls and the reverses, and I'm like, okay, so I found my Xbox, brought it back out, dusted her off, and I've been getting the nervous shakes because I've not been ripping packs for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
Oh, I do just have to say one thing before we continue on that trend. Just for the record, I am a Pokemon collector, and I do like collecting Pokemon. So I also own a card store, obviously, right? And part of the problem with that is sometimes they come into conflict, right? Prismatic Evolutions, clearly there was not enough to go around. So me as the collector, I had to take the back seat. So I personally own 0 Prismatic Evolutions right now because I wanted my, I wanted the customers and people that show up here to be able to get it. So Prismatic Evolutions. Hopefully by the 3rd wave, I'll have some extra here to be able to buy for myself. But I wanted to address that since there were claims of gatekeeping for myself. I own 0 product right now. I did not gatekeep anything for myself. It all went out to the customers. So I just that's something I wanted to mention. But yeah, I figured this would be a good topic to talk about with especially the Sword and Shields.
oh, dude.
There was like a 2-week window here where every day I was changing my prices on
Yeah,
the
and you had
boxes.
to, because
Yeah,
all of a sudden it just goes.
10% a day, insane. And then finally, I got lucky and somebody came and sold me some stuff or bought my stuff. Oh, I see. This is why you don't do a podcast at 3 p.m. Sorry, guys. I'll be right back. All right. This is gonna wind up being the jankiest podcast ever, but hey, fuck it, it's fun. So
Usually what happens when I'm involved. So like I said, it didn't matter if it's 3 a.m. or fucking 3 p.m. Something's gonna go haywire. Surprised that car hasn't drove through the building yet.
oh geez, don't wish that on me. That's part of the reason why I park in front of it is because there's less chances for cars.
Yep.
Oh, and it scared me yesterday. I was here early for packages, and car pulls up, and I'm sure it was for the Thai place next door or whatever, but they're slipping on ice. They don't stop, and they're pulling up
no.
right here, and you hear it scrape right into the parking brick, and I'm like, oh. But thankfully they weren't going fast enough to kind of continue going forward and damage the storefront. But yeah, that was.
Yeah, I can't open tonight. Or
Whoops, I didn't do it.
it's a back door only sale tonight because you can't use the front door because there's a car through it.
That would have been a mess. That would have been a mess to deal with that. That's I get lucky with that stuff. I don't have to haven't dealt with it yet. So
Yeah.
hopefully I never have to
will.
deal with this car through the store. But yeah, these Sword and Shield boxes, dude, every single day they keep running up.
dude.
Like Lost Origins broke 400. Fusion was like 5. Have you been following Evolving
Oh, dude,
Skies?
It's up to over $1,000 now.
Way over $1,000. I had a guy ask me if I could get one for him, and so I ended up getting one for him, and I got it for him on Sunday, and it was like $1,400 on Sunday, and he came to buy it Wednesday, and it was like 15 and change on Wednesday. So that's yeah.
Those boxes, when I went to get those, the wife kind of side-eyed me, and I'm like, look, I need to get them now.
Trust me.
Because I got my Evolving Skies. I got
Yeah.
mine for $5.30 a box, and they were first edition. Had made. I didn't even realize before I talked to DJ that the whole scandal with the guy taking all the cards out, and so I brought my box to DJ. You lucked out. You got first editions.
Yeah, you don't want to see that 2022
No.
copyright on those boxes.
And then I brought it up, or I went home this morning. I brought up the prices to the wife, and I go, "Remember when I paid $5.30 for this?" She goes, "When you selling?"
Of course, right?
Never. I'll be on my deathbed.
Mama needs a new kitchen, right? That's what you. And you're over here like, I'll sell it when I need money to buy more Pokemon.
Maybe. That's gonna be a hard sell, because like I said, I got one box of everything from Sword and Shield to present right now.
There's not a whole lot of it around, you know. I've only had Evolving Skies like maybe 4 or 5 times in the store, and every time it's come in, it's been multiple boxes, and my brain has been like, DJ, you got to buy one for yourself. And then I get a regular comes in here, is like, can I buy all of them? And I'm like,
Yep.
son of a bitch. Yep. So I end up, it's like, all right, I'll pass on it. So I remember I had an opportunity, fall of 23 at like $4.50 a box. I didn't get any then. It was like 5 and change. Didn't end up with any for myself then either, right? 7 something and change. Didn't get any for myself. 9 and change missed out on. 1,000 I missed out on. And now we're at like 15. And
But
I'm hoping to acquire one around this price point at some point. Yeah.
But you did make the right move on that Umbreon, though. You got your get in at the right time.
Oh yeah, that was an no-brainer. Like, I think Moonbreon specifically, I think that price is super inflated. I don't think it should be where it's at, and it should collapse. And I'm not smart for selling mine right now, but yeah, I should probably just try to sell mine. But yeah, I picked up Moonbreon in August. Yeah, early or mid-August. I paid $1,000 for it, so. It was a PSA 10. I got fortunate that I decided to run up because I thought it was good. I don't like the pop on it. There's like 14,000 PSA 10s, which is too many for me.
Crazy.
So it's not something I want to hold long term. But I wasn't expecting it to run like it has, right? I was thinking like, maybe 5% a year or something, which is fine by me. I kind of, it's like a modern grail, right? All the modern collectors want one in their collection. So it's like, I wanted one too just to have it because eventually, it's not going to go down in price, right? Now at 3,000, I think it absolutely is going to go down in price. I think it'll get back down to like 1,500-ish. Yeah. It'll fall back down. A lot of this is just Eevee's the hot new thing, right? People like the new shiny thing. It started running up when they put prismatic information out. And I think when Team Rocket rolls around, it'll be very different. So
all of a sudden, the Rocket cards are now.
Yeah, people will be hunting down the WotC. I've already had customers coming in the last couple of weeks like, "Hey DJ, you got any of those Team Rocket cards? You got any Team Rocket cards?" So those have been more popular. I expect them to continue. You've seen team ups have a run up too recently. Like a big one is the Latios team up. It went from like 2,500 a couple of months ago, and now it's over 4K. Another good one. How many 151 Charizards do you have?
Great. I know I got 2 for the master sets because I got 2 master sets of it. And then I think I have 110. So what I do is when I send my cards out, I got a case for the 9s, a case for the 10s, and then I just any 8s and belows.
Okay.
To sell to keep the bank account going. So.
Yeah, you cracking your 8s, right? Or you're cracking them and selling them raw?
I'm just selling them as 8s.
And
I know I'm losing money on.
Yeah,
it, but
just crack them. Don't want to damage the card.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Like you crack it, sell it raw. Yeah, can you get more? But at least now I feel better about, hey, this guy knows what he's getting. Fair enough. I didn't send it off. Great, and say, oh, fuck this. Cracking and here. And then he goes to send it in, and, this card was already graded. So, I don't want to screw somebody over like that.
Fair enough.
So, but am I losing money in the long run on it? Yeah, 100% I will.
Probably like 10% a card. But so why I asked that question is, have you seen the Charizard price, the 151 Charizard?
What did it jump up to now? I'm afraid to ask.
There's PSA 10 sales for $1,200. 3 to 4 weeks ago, it was like $650.
Yeah, I'm gonna
The Japanese one's like $450 now, $400, something like that.
I almost brought my cases with me, so now I'm gonna go home after this and then see what I actually have, because it's on the spreadsheet, but I have so much on the spreadsheet now. You start asking about individual cards, I'm like, hang on, let me reference. I got a reference.
Yep.
So
I know how it is. I'm glad you're organized though, because I've got some people that come in here. And I mean, they've got massive collections, and it's like, it's not sorted. They don't have it written down or spreadsheeted anywhere. It's like, I personally, I can't do that. I have to kind of have things documented. Yeah, because I'd rather if I'm probably weird, but I don't actually like to look at my cards or boxes. I know some people like to look at them every day. I don't. The less movement, the better to me.
Yep.
Like moving them around.
goes on the shelf and
Yeah,
stays there.
I just look at the sheet.
Yep.
I look at the sheet and it's like, oh, that's what I have. That's cool.
Yep.
So.
That's exactly what I do. And the wife's completely different. You know, she collects the coins. And
Yep.
You go in her room and the safe is just everywhere. I'm like, how do you know what you need? And how do you know what
The
you
bed's
have?
completely covered in coins every day. It's like, where are we gonna sleep?
It's like, how do you know what you have? She goes, I don't know. It's shiny. Fair enough.
I love it.
Fair enough.
I love it. You guys both have very different like
on opposite
like
ends of the
methodologies for collecting, right? And yeah.
Two completely separate collections, two completely separate ways of collecting it, two completely separate ways of keeping track of it.
Yep.
Like, you come in my room or my office, and every binder there that's in progress, you open it up, there's a sheet, there's a little piece of paper with every single card
Like
that's
everything you
still missing
need.
out of it.
Yep.
And then it's still duplicated onto the spreadsheet in case that falls out. And then you go, like I said, you go in her room, and it's just, I got shiny coins.
I know what they are. You don't have to. Yep.
Whatever floats your boat, babe. Happy wife, happy life.
Yep. That's the nice. There's not a wrong way to collect,
No.
right? I mean,
No,
outside of literally damaging your
Yeah.
own collection, there's not a wrong way to collect.
No.
Oh man.
So-
But yeah. Back to the sword and shields. I mean, the booster boxes.
Going
You
through
have
them.
to be very excited
Oh,
on
I
these
am,
booster
dude.
box prices, right?
Oh. I had that gut feeling, and I was like, something. Like, it was right when like Sword and Shield was tailing off,
Yeah.
and Scarlet and Violet was picking up. I'm like, it's gonna shift back because it's all Pokemon does. It goes modern, old, modern,
Yep.
and then you got to find the low waves.
I think the sweet spot right now, because I've had a lot of people asking me the last like 2 weeks in the store, because they're like, yeah, I don't really want to buy Prismatic at this price. Do you think anything is buyable? And I've been telling people, this isn't the answer people want to hear because people always want the shiny new thing, but vintage Pokemon, like WotC era Pokemon, really hasn't moved since the COVID days.
Mm-hmm.
So all other segments of the Pokemon market has, vintage is lagging behind. And this isn't just a Pokemon thing. So you just follow Pokemon, right? You kind of just stick to Pokemon market.
Yeah.
So I follow Magic too. Magic has had the same problem. Vintage Magic hasn't moved. Well, so 5-6 years ago, vintage Magic took a huge hit. Most vintage cards dropped about 50% in price, basically overnight, because of something stupid the company did. Vintage Magic hasn't moved in price in like five years.
Okay.
Since it's sat at that low and hasn't moved. So it got, didn't really change in COVID. It hasn't moved up since. The rest of Magic is starting to move up now, and I mean, other sets that came out last year have started to move. Your more modern Magic, your Bronze era Magic has started to move. Things from like 2010. But your old like 90s Magic still has yet to move. These 25, 30-year-old boxes where there might be 5,000 left in the world haven't budged. Since their collapse, the sealed product or the singles haven't really budged. So you're seeing with Magic too, where the modern's moving, but the vintage isn't. And it's like I said, it's not just a Pokemon thing. It's with Magic too. And so at some point, this is going to burst, and it's going to be like Pokemon, where Sword and Shield box prices really haven't moved in like 6 months, right, or a year. Mm-hmm. And then instead of things going up like a steady, 5% or whatever, it was like flat, bang, off to the races.
Somebody hit the red button.
Yep. And you're seeing the concerning thing with Sword and Shield is, concerning might be the wrong word, but the interesting thing is, as the prices have went up, you're seeing maybe 10 to 20 boxes get added for sale every day on TCG, right? and a few on eBay, and that's basically every time a few boxes get added, they get sold out. So there's really, it's not like, for example, last night around 8 p.m. there was 300 ETBs of prismatic listed, right? At 1 a.m. there was 2,000. So you're not seeing that kind of listing increase because it's just the market for those boxes have been flushed out so many times.
Yep.
There's just so few actually out there, right? At this point that people want to sell.
Yep.
So when they're running up, they're not hitting these barriers in the same way that, like, say, more modern sets are, right? So you're just, there's nothing stopping something from going to the moon if it wants to, right? A good example is Evolving Skies. And people talk about Evolving Skies like, oh, $1,500, $1,400, $1,300. Oh, it's a lot already. It's going to be a $3,000 box.
Oh, 100%.
It'll be $3,000 in a year or two. There's, even this big spike, we've had this 40% spike in the matter of weeks. There's only been a few more listed online in that spike. So there isn't a lot, and the people that do have, I know a couple of people that are sitting on like hundreds of boxes, they're not selling anytime soon. They all believe it's a $3,000 box, and they're like, yep, retirement, keeping it. So there's not enough to go around, and as that box price moves up, all the cards from that set are going to keep going up.
That's the tugboat bringing out everything with it.
Yep, everything's tied together with that. I mean, you're finally seeing, and I've been picking up for the store. Every time somebody comes in with gallery cards, I've been picking them up, putting them in a binder. I think they're severely undervalued,
100%.
and now they're finally starting to move, right? The Giratina is like 2 and change. The Arceus is well over 100. The Dialga Palkia, they're closing in on 100. The Mewtwo broke 100. The cheap little ones aren't like a quarter or 50 cents anymore. They're for the most part at least a couple of dollars. And then you have several that are hitting that like $20 range now, just because Crowns on It doesn't exist anymore. They did their reprint with the bundles. They did their reprint with the ETBs. It's game over, Yep. They had the Sea and Skies finally. It sounds like Sea and Skies gone now. You're not getting any more of those from Sam's Club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they flooded the market one more time with it, and then the flood is receding, and the prices are going up as the water recedes.
Yep, it'll just be like Blooming Waters. I'm telling everybody that comes in that's talking about 151. It's like Blooming Waters is probably your last chance. So if you either want 151 to open or you're still not done with your master set, the pack prices will be the cheapest they'll ever be. And the single prices will probably drop 10 to 20% temporarily when blooming water packs are opened, right? So like it comes out February 7th, so like the 7th through 21st will probably be the cheapest the singles will ever be from here on out. So if you're looking for a master set, that's the time to buy, in my mind, right? This is, again, I'm a store owner. I'm not a financial dude, so I have no licenses. This isn't financial advice. Do whatever the heck you want, but yeah.
And I'm just a degenerate collector, so...
He'll buy it no matter what. It could be $1,000, it could be $10, doesn't matter.
Like I said, you got to have deep pockets in this thing if you really want to get a master set, unfortunately, nowadays.
Well, if you're treating it as an investment and want to make a lot of money, you need money to make money, right? Nobody in any form of investing is going to turn $50 into $500,000. It just doesn't, it's not going to happen in a traditional investment. Yeah. Yep. Stock markets move at like 7-ish% a year, and that's the gold standard, right? Mm-hmm. So for the most part, expect to get around that. Riskier investments, if you want to take on a risk, you can do a little bit more. Pokemon, I would say trading cards is obviously much more risky than like stocks, but you probably on a good year can do like make 20% on holdings in cards. So you get rewarded obviously for taking on more risk, but everything doubling overnight for people that are just getting into the hobby, it's like that's not normal. Don't expect it.
This is a bull market right now, and it came out of nowhere. Well, it slowly started trickling, but then when Surging Sparks was released...
sent the Pokemon off to the race. Yeah, the bull market off to the races.
Back when Pokemon Go was released.
Yep.
All of a sudden the boom was there. Because, hey, I used to do that when I was a kid.
Yep.
Look how much fun it was. And then, it'll slowly start dying off a minute, and then something else will come along and bring everybody back in.
Yep.
So
Big catalyst too for that was Surging Sparks was limited. It was holiday time. You had people getting into it from Pocket.
Yep.
There was a Pikachu chase that everybody wanted. So if you go back towards actual COVID times, Vivid Voltage was released in COVID times. The Pikachu from Vivid Voltage was $1,000 Pikachu. So it actually, and that was the chase, right? It actually ties in pretty well, just comparatively, like comparing the two sets, right? Now, Vivid Voltage, after COVID, it tanked and it still hasn't fully recovered, but it's starting to now. You're starting to see cards go up, and the boxes are finally out of print at Pokemon Center. Your box prices are starting to go up.
yeah, that's always the big key from my limited time back in here. Because I've noticed when the box goes out on Pokemon Center, then all of a sudden price slowly and steadily starts going up.
Well, that's if it's live on Pokemon Center, it can't ever cross the MSRP threshold, right?
Right.
Because people just buy it on Pokemon Center, and that's part of the reason. Like you're seeing things drastically shift as far as pricing. I mean, the first year of Scarlet Violet, every set everybody thought was shit. Boxes were sold either for a slight profit or EV neutral or at a slight loss, right? So you're paying between 100 and 110 online to get a box. MSRP on those boxes were still 161. Pokemon Center sold them for 161. Pokemon Company doesn't like their product being devalued. So they started taking steps to print less to make sure it wasn't, right? MSRP is set for a reason, and they want it to hit MSRP for that reason. So I don't think we're ever going to be in a world where, because Pokemon went through this like 2017 to 2019, where your booster boxes crashed to like $60 and nobody could sell them even at a loss, right? Those same boxes today are like Ancient Origins and shit that are $1,000 boxes. So, but Pokemon Company's been through that. They don't want it to happen again. And if you follow things like Pokemon Company, they know what they're doing. Most decisions they make, they're correct. They've handled turbulent markets very well. I think they'll handle, like now that it's very apparent we're in a bull market, I think they'll handle this situation very well too. One caveat is, big card games, they print months in advance. Journey Together's already been printed. Don't get any mind about it. So Journey Together might be a little bit rougher on things, but I think after that, Pokemon Company is very good at figuring out ways to get product in the hands of people without devaluing things, as some games do. And that's, if you're just a Pokemon collector, you are kind of spoiled in a way, because as far as the way companies handle situations, they're the best at it. Magic's had some issues. They've had some really big issues. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a current ongoing problem, and it's been ongoing for like a year and a half now, where literally every box I shouldn't say literally, almost every box they release, it releases, 2 weeks later, it's at half price, half release price, right? Stores buy these products, then it's a race to the bottom on price. Most stores that are buying Yu-Gi-Oh! Boxes, they lose tens of thousands of dollars carrying the product. I don't carry new Yu-Gi-Oh! Boxes unless they're special ordered, because a week or two after release, they're selling online and they're selling in stores for cheaper than you pay from distribution to buy them. There's a set that came out in June, for example. It's 6 months old, Duelist Nexus. It's like a $20 box online right now. You can look it up. Most stores are paying anywhere from between like $53 to $63 a box, depending on how much you're ordering. So if you bought, say, a pallet of 1,000 boxes for $53 a box, and you have 500 left, and they're going for $20 a box, you are absolutely fucked. Mm-hmm. Right? You're going to lose $5,000 on that pallet you bought. So it's always, product comes out, everybody, you're trying to be the first one to dump all your stuff before the price makes it before you're underwater on it. And Yu-Gi-Oh! The sets don't have value. They're not putting valuable cards in the sets that people want. And they've had this problem. They can't seem to figure it out. And at this point, because it's been going on so long, you could argue that they don't want to figure it out. Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole is like 3% of the revenue from for the Konami company. So they don't care, right? I think they just don't care. And if you're a Pokemon collector, you're very, very fortunate to kind of be in the position to where they make cards that retain value and they don't devalue things, right? By overprinting. Magic's got their print runs kind of tight now, but they love to... Magic does a lot of reprints, right?
Okay.
So if you have cards that are worth money and they get reprinted, all of a sudden the cards that you invested in are down in the shitter price wise. Outside of like true reserve list cards and old vintage cards, it's really tough to collect modern Magic because things are always getting reprinted. You know, they do that. They do that in Yu-Gi-Oh too. It's like 3 months after the set comes out. If there is an expensive card, they nuke it into oblivion. So I forget exactly when now. When there was a big card called Bonfire for Yu-Gi-Oh. It was a $120 card out of the box, right?
Okay.
3 months later, it got reprinted. A couple months later, it was reprinted again. It's a $3 card today.
Oh, damn.
And it was a card that you needed 3 of to play. It was a competitive thing. So people are, you're out like $350 to $400 on a play set because you need 3 for Yu-Gi-Oh! And a couple months later, it's like if you didn't get your use out of it, well, they're literally worthless now. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of those things where if you're trying to do it for financial gain, don't touch anything that's been printed in the last 15, 20 years. Pokemon, you can really collect anything. It really doesn't matter. And I see a lot of random obscure stuff people are bringing here, either just to show me or to kind of get an opinion on. And it's like, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then it's actually worth some money. And you can collect anything with Pokemon too. I've got a guy that comes in here. He collects Frostlasses. So he just
nice.
binders of Frostlass. And he's like, yeah, there's only like 11 printings of it. Most of them are super, super cheap. It's just a matter of finding them. He's like, that's the problem. I can't find them. No one has them. And he's like, I don't buy online. I only want to buy from stores. But
That's the great thing about this thing. Like, you can have the most obscure Pokemon in the set to somebody, but that's somebody's favorite, and they got a million of them.
Yep. Big one now is Eevee. Everybody and their brother loves Eevee. Yeah. So
Eevee's been one of those timeless classics, though, since the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they've done some good arts for it too.
Dude, the artwork
have you seen the ETB Eevee art yet?
Oh,
yeah, that art is great. Love that art.
It's insane. Like,
I don't think there's a bad Eevee art. I mean, at least not one that I've seen. Mm-mm. And they look good as reverses too. Somebody pulled I think it was a Pokeball Eevee here last night. I could be wrong. I think it was Pokeball. It might have just been a normal reverse, but I think it was a Pokeball one. And that one looked, they look cool. They really look cool.
Yeah, they really don't skimp on their artwork.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, it's like that's what we look for. Like, does the card look good? That's what drew me back into it at first. Like, when I started collecting Scarlet and Violet, I'm like, let's get a box. And I started looking at the artwork. I'm like, holy shit! I mean, they're actually fucking going all out on this. It's not just get it in a box and get it out to consumers as fast as you can.
Yep.
They're taking time. They're fucking. Sorry about all swearing.
No, you dude, it's explicit. So go for it.
But just the way they take time with their cards and all that, the quality assurance has been a rocky road. Don't get me wrong, with your misprints and all that. But the art is always on point.
Yep.
Always.
And that's the nice thing too. I mean, why do you collect art, right? You collect art that looks cool and looks good, right? And I think it's kind of the same way with Pokemon. Is like part of the reason these cards have their value is because of the art. They look good. They look cool. You want it. You want to display it. You want to show your friends you got it. Yep. It's like, would an average person pay $1,000 for a card that just is all black and nothing else, or like all red and nothing else, right? It's like, there's no sure, you could call a card that's completely red Charizard, but it's not the same appeal as seeing this giant dragon-looking thing breathing fire out of its mouth, right?
Speaking of the Charizard, the pack I got off, the base set pack.
Yeah.
There's been a few apple juice nights where it almost came open.
Oh, Jesus. Don't open that thing.
It's sitting on the shelf, right next to the box topper Charizard on the shelf. And a few we're playing on the Xbox, and all of a sudden I look up, I'm like, there's Charizard in it.
You know what you got to do, man? You got to get that thing in a little, gun safe or something, just a little handheld one. Give your wife the key so you can't get into it.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Oh, that's bad. But, how do I say this? Are you surprised with, the quick run-up on everything? Or is this something you were kind of expecting?
About 50-50. Because before TCG Pocket came out, there was the knockoff version. and it was gaining a lot of traction, I'm like, okay, what's this going to do to the market?
Which knockoff version?
Well, what, there's,
Was it like a Steam game?
I don't know if it was Steam
That
game.
Pal World or whatever
No,
it
no,
was?
no, no.
No.
It was basically like TCG Pocket, but it wasn't from the Pokemon Company.
Oh, okay.
It was like basically almost the same concept, and then everybody started doing Pokemon mods of it, and then all of a sudden TCG dropped, and I was like, because like I said, is this going to be a Pokemon Go situation again? And it turned into a Pokemon Go situation where Pokemon Go dropped, and all of a sudden they got the interest back in it, and then Surging Sharks dropped, and then off to the races we went. So, was I expecting it? Not as hard as it's come in, but the signs were there that, hey, something could start popping off here real fast.
Yeah. When they first cut the print runs with Temporal, and then they further cut them down the road, it's like, yeah, things are gonna shift.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not doing it for no reason. They have a very clear intention, right?
Yeah. Just like it's no surprise that we got a God Pack in English finally. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not an anomaly. This is done on purpose. Like, all right,
That's
here we
part
go.
of the reason this
Boom.
set is what it is
Yep.
because the God Packs, the Master Balls, the Pokeballs, like first
Yep.
time for it all. It's like I said, this was a Black Swan event. People are worried about Journey Together. It'll be different. There's booster boxes. It's not going to be as bad. But this was a once I don't want to call it once in a lifetime, but a once in a blue moon Black Swan event. So it was pretty.
It's gonna be fun trying to get the master set. I'm looking forward to it.
I got a couple people that are like, we're going to collect master sets. It's like, Godspeed.
Yeah, that's.
It's going to be hard finding the cards.
I mean, you know me. I still haven't pulled a Greninja for myself.
I can't. How many boxes deep are you?
I went 7 cases.
Jesus
7 cases,
Christ.
and I still haven't pulled that thing for myself.
42 boxes of a Twilight Greninja. That's disgusting.
Yep.
You were just banking all your luck for
Surging
for
Sparks.
Prismatic. Oh no, for Prismatic. You banked it all for Prismatic.
I don't know if it went out on Surging Sparks, though, because remember I got 3 to Pikachu's, 4 to Latios.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got loaded
Sparks,
Surging.
Yeah.
Did you grade any of those yet?
I did. I'm still waiting for them to come back.
Okay.
I got the 2 in the master set, and then I got the third one, the best one. Just eyeballing it. Went to PSA along with I think 3 of the 5 Latioses.
Nice. Hey, Snow Penguin. Have you, because of this shift, have you changed like kind of your strategy at all? Are you collecting differently? Do you have intentions on maybe selling some things now during a spike, or is this like long-term holds and not changing?
Well, like I told you earlier, when I get my grades back, got a case for the 9s, case for the 10s, everything below that, just I ship off to try to recoup some money.
So what if you wind up with like 3 PSA 10 Latias? Are you cashing out on 2 of them?
They're holds.
You keep the 10s? You're holding every 10?
Holding every 10 and holding every 9. And you probably noticed I've kind of stepped back a little bit from coming in and buying every day like I was, just because the price shift went up so much.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, I got the master set. I have my boxes. There's going to be huge sets coming out all year. So I have stepped back in that with the bull market. Now if the market drops and we go into a buyer's market, I'll be there full force. Just like any other sane person would be.
Right. I haven't bought a lot for myself in the last couple months either. I do think as far as markets go, and this is like purely speculative obviously, but just kind of knowing a little bit about what's coming, like we have the Team Rocket set, and then there's a few other things, and you got to remember Pokemon's 30th anniversary is in 2026. Right. I think things are only upwards from here till there. I think the market that we're in now, we've easily got at least another 6 months of, and if I were to guess, I would guess it runs pretty hot through the 30th. And then it will depend on how Pokemon handles things after the 30th. But I think through the 30th at least, things are going to run.
Yeah, it's like you said, through the 30th. I'm thinking mid-2028 maybe is where we might see a cool-off. So
it's a while. I don't know if we've had a bull market that ran that long before. But this is a very, very unique bull market. I mean,
It is, and
I've been around cards since since Pokemon, base set first came out, and like outside of when it was brand new, like all that demand for it, this is probably the hottest it's ever been. I think we're past COVID levels at this point. Just because it's still the same kind of craziness, but there's more product now than there was during COVID, right? It's more accessible.
yeah. And like I said, I got back. I missed all that COVID boom because I was back in those days. I was more hockey, football oriented, and then just lost interest in it for some reason. But it led me to my newfound passion of the Pokemon cards, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
But just looking back at some of like the trends that were going on in those years compared to now, it's almost identical, if not.
Yep. Do you have anything in your collecting that, like, you passed up on something and regret it buying?
Getting out of the hobby. From
Getting
the
out of the
beginning.
hobby? That's
Like,
fair.
Just thinking, like, you look back, like, just from when the ETB started in 2014,
Yeah.
those boxes are $4 or $5 grand now.
Yep.
And it's
They're
like,
so expensive.
It's like, I want to get my like, I'm a big ADD guy. I'm like, there's a hole in my collection. There's a hole in my, I got to fill that hole. And I look at the price. I'm like, that's 5 paychecks. It's like 5 paychecks.
Yeah.
And I just look at the wife with the puppy dog guys, and she pulls out the pitchfork and says, no. So it's like,
Gotta have balance somewhere with that.
I
But
miss the fact that, I lost a passion for it. But thankfully,
yeah.
just like with everything, you find something you love, you come back to it.
Yep.
Now it's just trying to allocate yourself to where you're not putting yourself in debt to try to.
That's the big thing is, like, you got to remember the hobby's going to be around tomorrow.
Yep.
You have to be too, right?
Yep.
You're not being in it long term is always going to beat just kind of, you're going to burn yourself out either monetarily or mentally with it if you just chase too hard. And I mean, if you're one of those guys that, you go out to every miner and put everything out on a card without expect. I've had people in here, somewhat. I mean, last month talking about though they're putting like several $1,000s on a credit card, a Pokemon that they can't pay off, and they're like, yeah, we think the product inflation, like the product increase, is going to outpace my 30% interest rate, and it's like,
No.
good luck,
No,
buddy.
It's not.
But I can't. I would never advise doing that. Like that's just it's
No, it's the
for
worst
me,
thing
it's
you could do.
far too risky,
Yes.
right?
Like, don't get me wrong. I put all my purchases on credit cards, but every 2 weeks when my check hits, there's that extra lot of money that's paying that.
You're
credit
paying it
card
off, and you're getting
right
like
away.
1 or 2% cash back too.
Yeah,
So
cash
that's
back and
good.
all
Yep.
that. But never put yourself, like I saw a reel the other day. Dude is now getting a divorce because he hid $26,000 worth of Pokemon cards from his wife.
I mean, you can't blame her. I'd be pissed, right? Like that's a problem.
It's like,
That
I
is
get
a
it.
problem.
This is a high stakes, high adrenaline. Like, you're basically gambling.
Yeah.
When you rip a pack, you're basically gambling, and I get the highs, I get the lows, but you have to have those parameters where you're not putting yourself in debt. You're not taking the food budget to buy a pack of cards.
Yep. And I think a good way to look at it is kind of like pretend you're a poker player, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pretend you're the best guy at the table and you're better than everybody else, right? So you say for a card equivalent would be like you do more studying of the markets, you've been around longer, you have more knowledge of things, right? But the most important thing at poker is you need to make sure you can't go broke, right? You can't you need a bankroll because even if you're the best, you lose sometimes, and you can't you don't want to get wiped out on a loss.
Yep.
You need to have money to keep playing.
Yep.
So that's the most important thing. And I mean, right now, literally everybody looks like a genius because we are in a bull market and everything is going up. But it's not hard to win, and everybody looks like a genius now. But you have to kind of be smart because this market won't be forever.
Yep.
There's
a very real chance that the bubble could burst.
It could shift tomorrow.
Yeah.
It literally could shift tomorrow. I mean, the Team Rocket set could be printed to oblivion and could be an $80 booster box, and then literally everything collapses in 4 months, right? 5 months. So you don't know. If I were to bet, I would say no, it won't happen. But you literally, you don't. It's not something you want to put your life savings on.
Yeah, the risk is there,
yeah, and you have to kind of be diversified with those things because say Pokemon takes it down, right? if you're into cards and you have more card investments in other games, it's like, well, it's not the end of the world for like collecting investing then, right?
Yep.
That's something I did want to ask too. Have you ever thought about expanding into collecting other kind of like cards, or are you pretty much an only Pokemon guy?
Only Pokemon guy, just because of price point. Like I said, it is a very expensive hobby to get into, just because
Yeah.
the sets come like every other month and a half, like every 2 months, every 2.5 months, you got a new set coming out.
Yep.
So
I don't think we're getting another specialty set towards till the end of the year though. So like the next 2 or 3 releases at least should just be the main sets, and
Right.
it won't be too bad.
but you still got main sets coming out. So
Yep.
like, and Pokemon's genius with that. They always have a new product coming out every couple months when the last one starts to fade. So right on cue, like, and they don't even hide it anymore. Prismatic's not even out. Journey
Yep.
is already being hyped.
Yep. I this weekend I think the window opens up for me to schedule my Journey Together pre-releases. So March I can do them starting March 15th. So I'll have a midnight pre-release March 15th for that, and then whatever it is, a week and a half later, 25th or something, I'll be able to sell it. So
Yeah. So that's why you gotta think long and hard before, if you just want to chase for a specific card, that's one thing. But if you want to collect for the master set, you got to budget.
Yep.
And you got to budget hard, and you got to realize this is a long-term investment. Like the Charizard didn't become 10 grand from base set, didn't become 10 grand overnight.
no,
Took almost
it spent like I'll give you a good example. So you probably know this, but I used to own another card store called Card Castle. We were in Wyandotte from 03 to 2011. My brother was the one that kind of handled the Pokemon sales for that store, and he specifically remembers somewhere in the somewhere in the middle of that range, selling at least 5 first edition Charizards for $10 a piece.
Yeah.
So, what can you do?
It's one of those nostalgia things. Like in 20 years from now, all the little kids that couldn't afford Surging Sparks are now going to have the adult money.
Yep.
And now,
It's why the Sun and Moon era, the more modern stuff is running now, is because those guys from 10 years ago, now they have jobs and enough disposable income to, splurge on cards.
and it's in a recurring cycle. It's going to go on forever as long as Pokemon cards are printed.
Yep. And when one door closes, there's always a new one as far as opportunity goes. Like right now, you have to remember, a vast majority of the money coming into Pokemon for probably the next week or two is going to be solely on prismatic evolutions, right? All the money's going in there, and other more recent sets are being neglected.
Yep.
So if you're a collector and trying to find value, while prismatic might be out of your price range, some of these other sets that haven't gotten a whole lot of love probably are in your price range to pick up. I mean, Scarlet Violet is a good example. The base set, the booster boxes have started to trend up decently, right? The singles haven't trended up with them in the same way. Outside of the Gardevoir line, the other single prices have stayed pretty flat, so it's still relatively cheap to do full sets of those, right? Obsidian Flames was like $110 booster box for a year. Scarlet Violet base was like a year and a half, $100, $110 booster box. There will be sets in the future where those opportunities will arise too. And as Evolving Skies is moving right now, some of the the Evolving Skies products aren't trending the same way that booster boxes are, right? Like you can still find tins cheaper. The ETBs have moved, but not a whole lot yet. Hidden Fates is a good set to look at. The Hidden Fates tins really haven't budged in price in a while. While the singles have went up, the Charizards went up a lot in price. The Big Chase Charizard. So there's definitely opportunity there. It's just it's not the shiny new thing that people want it to be.
Everybody's focused on prismatic, while everything like Prismatic's all out here in the forefront.
Yep.
And you got a million sets over here that you can get real cheap right now.
Yep. I know.
But it's not the cool thing to do. So
Yeah. Like I said, vintage hasn't moved in a while, and I've talked to several people, and like my personal opinion is if you're putting money into Pokemon right now, and don't want it to be prism. If you don't want prismatic and you're just kind of looking to hold things, I like vintage Pokemon. I'm a big fan of vintage Pokemon. It's old. It will never get reprinted. The populations on all of those things are low, and it's hard to find good condition cards. So I like those. Early modern too, like your mid 2010s, they haven't moved a ton yet either. Outside, I mean, there's been a few sets that have, like Primals went up, Unified Minds went up, Team Ups went up, but there's still several from that era that haven't trended super high yet. As relatively speaking, they've been pretty flat.
We like flat, especially when you're trying to collect from all back then.
Yeah, flat creates opportunity. Mm-hmm. So what would you say, like, your of all the collecting you've done, what's your favorite either card or box or thing you have?
If I have to rip one box over and over for the rest, it's gonna be 151.
151 all day.
151, just because it's where I started. That's where the Pokemon generation started from. That's when I was a kid. That's what got me into it. That's what is burned in my brain. And just seeing and for like somebody that's 10 years younger than me, it's a completely different set.
Yep.
But for me, 151 all day long.
It was a great set.
Oh, 100%.
It really was. I'm still sad we didn't get Master Balls in that set.
Dude, I was hoping
what could have
so
been, right?
hard for them. Right?
It's
the
crazy.
The opportunity was great there for it, but you know what? Hey, we got them now. So
Yep.
hopefully they continue going forward.
If
you're listening to Pokemon, keep them coming. Every set. We like
more Master Balls, yeah.
Master Balls and God Packs.
Oh, you got a fan there. They say, "What's up, Chris?"
Oh, hey, what's up, Wiz? That's my buddy I play with from across the pond.
Oh, okay.
We play Xbox together, and
oh, one of the guys that spells color with a U, right?
Yeah.
One of those guys. I do a bunch of stuff with me and my brother. We used to do a bunch of gaming stuff with a group of Australians, and we'd always the little cultural nitpicking back and forth. So I got a question for you since you're in chat. To me, when I look at the word color, for example, and you put a U in there, it looks weird to me. When there's no U, does color without a U look weird to you? He's carrying you on COD all the time.
Try to carry me. You ain't carrying 300 pounds, bro. I'm in the back with the sniper, making sure your little butt's covered as you're up there running around dying.
I love it. I love it. So, do you ever see yourself not collecting? You think there's ever a time where it's like, you know what? I've done enough. Time to sail off into the sunset.
Completely shutting it down. No. I mean, you never say never, and you never say ever. So, is there a chance? There's always a chance.
Yeah.
But is it likely? It's probably a 0.001% chance, because it's what I like to do in my off time.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives me something to do. It's. I'm not gonna lie. It satisfies a gambling urge, like the mystery packs you have.
Yeah.
Great move, because degenerates like me are gonna scoop those up, and it passes time. Like, I just don't rip and throw them away. Like, when I rip, you've seen me. I sort them.
Yep.
And it's a time process, and next thing you know, 6 hours have gone by.
Yeah. See, I feel this, I like to collect. There's me and my brother each have a couple of cards where we talk to each other, and it's like, I want to be buried with these cards. If I go first and you don't bury me with the cards, I'm coming back to haunt you. You know? No, there's not videos of people shredding cards. No way.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! Dude, there's some little kid out there that would love to have those commons. Give them away. Don't shred them.
Yep.
That's horrible.
Or the I'm gonna cut a pack in half and then see what I cut mystery opening.
It's because they're making like $5,000 for that video, but it's so painful. It's so painful.
It's all clickbaiting.
Oh my God.
And Wiz, you can't lie. You collect too every once in a while. You were just on the phone with me the other day, FaceTiming me about your pack opening for Christmas. So don't act like I'm alone here.
Oh man. Do you have like a price point in mind with anything where it's like, all right, it's high enough, I'm gonna sell off, or is it just kind of you're playing it by feel?
Playing it by feel.
Playing it by feel.
And then obviously I have a price check off of what I'm not going to spend on a box. Like
Yeah.
right when the
You're not gonna go drop $1,000 on Stellar Crown boxes, right?
No. I mean, even Evolving Skies getting to a point now where it's like, you know, would I love to have that box and open it and pull that Moonbury on, but I can't justify spending $1,500 on a box. And
I would add the caveat for myself, I can't justify spending it to open.
yes,
If I think there's upward mobility, I would buy it to keep sealed. And I do think there's upward mobility on
there is
Evolving Skies.
to keep it sealed, yes, but
Yeah, you being the
I'm a
psychopath that opens
I'm a
those things.
cracker.
No, I can't do it.
Straight- I'm a ripper.
I have too many sealed boxes behind me here every day. If I ever started opening stuff, one day somebody's gonna walk in the store. I'm gonna be like passed out on the floor with a bunch of pack wrappers, and everything on the shelf will be on the floor opened up. I can't open packs. Can't do it. Slippery slope there.
This is why I can never open a TGC store because that shelf would be empty.
It's like the saying with the restaurant, with like you eating all the profits,
Yep.
you'd be opening all the profits.
I mean, you would have your Yu-Gi-Oh, you would have your Magic, and you can have all that, but that Pokemon section would be empty every single day of the week.
Yeah. I'm in a fortunate position to where I've kind of set myself up for like what I collect personally is vastly different from what I have here on a day-to-day basis, so I'm not really interfering. Like my personal collecting doesn't really interfere with like the store's inventory. Outside of like I would have loved to have gotten some Surging Sparks, but we sold out at midnight, so I couldn't, right? I would love to get some of this Prismatic, but there's not going to be enough to go around until probably the third wave. So third wave, I'll get some stuff for myself. But yeah, outside of things like that, it's like it is what it is. But I get the opportunity to go to some cool like cons or acquire some nice cards, right? And that's like kind of the trade-off. So
I wish I had your willpower. That's the one thing I wish I had about it. You have the most tremendous willpower I've ever seen in somebody.
you know, I think I had my other store forever. I mean, I started that thing when I was 14, but I've been around cards my whole life. It's just at this point, it's purely the mindset that I have with it is it's purely like I try to take the emotion out of it. I mean, I like collecting, but it's like it's just kind of I don't want to call it an investment because it's not. It feels weird to say it like that, but that's kind of how I treat it. Like I wouldn't, I'm not. If I was putting money in the stock market, and I wouldn't put money in things, like if I liked a certain fast food company, like the taste of it, I wouldn't invest in it because I like the taste.
Oh,
if
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Right.
you got to leave with your brain, not your heart.
Yeah. Like there's some cool cards that I would like to have and things that I would like to have, but they just financially don't make sense, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I've owned a base set sealed booster box once in my life, and that was when I was a kid. I got it for a birthday present, and I immediately opened it up. That's the last time I've ever personally owned a base set booster, or that was I think a shadowless one. But that's the last time I owned one of those boxes. Like, sure, I would love to own one, but it's $50,000,
Yeah.
and that's just not in the cards for me right now. It's like no, I'd rather not put $50,000, and I'd rather. On the logical side of things, if I had $50,000 to put in, I would have it in a bunch of different areas, not one
Yep.
Pokemon booster box. So, like for myself, I also collect things from other sets or from other games too. So, Magic, there's a lot of opportunity in Magic collector boxes right now. Those things are great. It's a one print run and done, limited print run every time they do one. So they really don't. 2022, 2023. Everything they printed went down the shitter, and even those products are starting to rebound, and then everything new that comes out, those collector boxes, they just go up.
Nice.
So those are good. People that play One Piece, you guys know how much of a pain in the ass it is to find sealed booster boxes of One Piece. So I started recently collecting some of those. I don't go crazy because I don't know the market, but I grab like a box or two. Like the last, I think 3-4 sets that have come out, I've grabbed like a box or two for myself just to kind of keep away and see what happens with it. But One Piece seems to be trending upwards in general on the sealed product, and yeah, there's a lot of different there's a lot of different things out there. Like I feel like the only way you really lose in the market that we're in now is by not playing the game and not putting money in, right? Because most things are on just the upward trend.
Yep.
So let's see. Is there anything specific I can think of? I don't know. I give up. You got anything you want to talk about?
I think we covered most of it.
Yeah.
Already. I mean,
Do you guys have any questions out there?
we had a good little discussion about 90% of the hobby right now.
Yeah.
We're not going to cross over to the 10% of the dark side. We'll leave that. We'll leave it on the bright and sunshine day.
Fair enough. What do you think about the Lions?
I hope they do good. Don't get me wrong, but I'm
Oh,
a
you-
Patriots fan.
Oh,
I've been a Patriots fan my whole life. My aunt,
This guy's over here being a Patriots fan.
and it's before Tom Brady even got there. I went through my lulls with Bledsoe and all that, so I know it's not a sports talk, but my aunt lived out there, and every summer my grandma took me out there, and she had season tickets to the Patriots, so I was tainted young
Okay.
for the sports culture. Do I
So-
hope the Lions win? Yes, just for all you diehards out there that have been the heartache special for the last 57
So
years.
all I'm hearing is that when the Lions win, we got to give you a bunch of shit because you're rooting for the Patriots.
Hey, you can. Because I was giving the Lions fans all sorts of shit for the dynasty years when they had the 6 rings and we're having the time of my life, and I'll never see it again. I had my fun. But my ultimate goal is to see the Patriots and the Lions in a Super Bowl.
That'd be cool.
That will be one of the best things.
Yeah, I don't follow football. I don't watch sports, but like the last couple of weeks, I've been watching the Lions game, and
Oh, yeah.
I'll have the game on Sunday. This Sunday their game, and if they make the Super Bowl, I'll probably do some fancy Super Bowl party here. Have it on stream and make a day out of it. Because that's early February usually, right? Or is it end of February?
February 9th this year.
February 9th? Okay. I can make February 9th work. Yeah, I'll have it on stream here. We'll have some fun with it.
He's going to have to get through Stafford first, though. That's their curse.
I mean, he's like, Stafford's just the reject, right? Like, they kicked him to the curb, so
Yeah, they
no big
kicked him to the
deal.
curb for golf, but it seems like every year. Oh, I mean, we only have a 1-year sample. You got to go through Stafford to get to the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yep.
So
So how do you feel about different language cards?
they're intriguing. I mean, when you look at it in general, it's the same basically artwork on there, just in a different language. So I mean, it's still the same, whether it's English, Spanish, German, whatever you want to put on that card. As long as you got a good artwork, I'm fine with it.
So I will say this. I've got I think it's French, a French-based set Charizard. Its name is Draco Ferru, and that sounds cool. Outside of that, like, my opinion on the Japanese stuff is the quality's a lot better, so it's easier to grade,
100%.
right? The Japanese sets are usually cooler. Like, I prefer the Japanese 151 set to English just because of the
100%.
Master Balls. The thing is, just because the Japanese cards are so easy to grade, anything that's not a 10 is literally worthless because, like, 75% of cards or 80% of the cards that are sent into PSA come back 10s on the Japanese side.
And I don't know why that
No.
transfer over here. Like the quality control over there compared to here.
Yeah,
like
they
night and
just
day.
print differently. I think they print less overall, so it helps, but they do print differently. On your Japanese side, even though I think overall they print less, they print more than the demand. So like your Japanese cards are cheaper than the English ones. Like for example, I have a Japanese PSA 10 Charizard in my case here and an English PSA 10 Charizard in my case, both from 151. They were both traded in, but the Japanese one is like 400-ish right now, and the English one is 3 times that, right? So there's just, I think and I haven't checked, but I do believe the English population is higher than the Japanese, but there's just obviously much more demand for the English. So, I think the Terastal Festival was cool, and I think that's one of the places too to look with all these English prices increasing. Is you can kind of start approaching Japanese releases, right, and start doing things on some Japanese product. I myself, I've got a couple of boxes of Japanese 151 from their one of their reprints. My only advice with the Japanese side of things is they like to reprint a lot, so if there hasn't been a bunch of reprints already, like the chances are there'll be a reprint and the price will drop slightly, and that's a good time to buy. And then if you are touching Japanese sealed product, you don't want to touch anything that isn't a booster box. Japanese products are easily tampered with and resealed, and you absolutely can map out the SIR in every box. So if you're buying loose packs, you're probably buying packs that have already been searched, and you won't pull anything. So I advise against that. But outside of that, Japanese is fine for what it is. I think English is and always will be the gold standard outside of your old Japanese promos. Those are the rarest and most expensive Pokemon cards. So like those, that's their own unique subset to me, right? I think that's its own thing. I think they're very good. Basically anything that has a population of like 1,800 or less as the PSA 10s on the Japanese side is probably pretty good to have. I think like the Ponchos, for example, the Poncho Pikachus are great as 10s. Some of your older Japanese promos. And then if you want to get really, really fancy, you've got some of like those tournament promos or whatever, that it's like first, second, and third winners of X event get this promo card with the Pikachu holding the trophy, and it's like $10,000 or $15,000 or $50,000 or whatever. Like, I think those are good. But that's, I think, again, I segment differently from normal Japanese. So if it were me, I would rank like the old Japanese promos and like the Ponchos, like number one, like that's the gold. And then like English stuff, and then other Japanese stuff, and then probably different foreign languages below that.
I'm right about the same as you said on that. And those old CD promos.
Yeah, yep, the CD promo Charizard and everything else, those are great. Those are really, really great.
How much prismatic you have left, sir?
The phone it was all day yesterday. My phone was ringing, and every time I looked at my cell phone at the business, at Facebook Messenger for the business, there were like 10 different messages about things. So it ended up getting pretty overwhelming yesterday with things. Now that this is timid. This is probably every 10 or 15 minutes now. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not open yet. If I wasn't doing a podcast, I'd answer, but I'm doing a podcast, so I'm not going to answer.
Come ask your questions in the chat.
Yeah. Well, they're probably not watching, otherwise they wouldn't be calling. What's your prediction for the rest of this year? And also, what do you think about Prismatic? Where do you think Prismatic goes from here?
Prismatic skyrockets.
How do you feel about the ETBs specifically? Because I've got my guesses on things. Where do you think ETBs are going?
Probably, we already got the Pokemon Center at $250 a box, $275 a box. Pokemon Center probably could reach $500 by midsummer. Regulars will probably be right around $3, if I'm thinking. But I'm just a dumb fireman, so I try not to think.
So I had mentioned earlier about there were like 2,000 ETBs dumped on the market yesterday. Mm-hmm. There were 1,300 sales yesterday on TCG Player in one day. So whatever gets listed in the next few days is going to be sold up real quick, and then the prices are going to run right up. My gut says 2 to 4 weeks they'll be at $200 for ETBs. So I think then when it gets close to that, you'll see another like glut of people that, because the scalpers and flippers, they're going to dump them almost immediately. Mm-hmm. Somebody that was able to get like 2 and they kept one and opened, they kept one sealed and opened one. At the $200 mark, they get to cash out, make a profit, and still keep all the stuff they open. I think you'll start seeing some sold then, right?
I like the 2-week rule. I never buy anything inside the first 2 weeks to try to let the market settle.
Yeah.
And then right about the 2-week mark is where your base price is generally going to be. So that's when I'll start buying the stuff that I need to complete the collection.
Yep.
Like the Pokemon Center boxes. as much as I want to buy them right now to get it on the shelf to fill that hole, I'm waiting. I gotta wait the 2 weeks to see what the price does.
I'm so sad about that, dude.
Dude.
I've gotten Pokemon Center ETBs for every set since 151.
Same.
And I was unable to get them for Prismatic, and I was sleeping through the Journey Together ones.
Yeah, and it's like
So I'm going to miss both of those, and it makes me sad.
within I think what did it say? Journey was out in an hour and a half.
Yeah. It released at like 9, and it was out in an hour and a half, and I was sleeping. And then the Prismatic, I was here running an event. One of my friends had messaged me, like, hey, they're up. And by the time I saw the message a couple hours later, they were down.
Yeah.
So I was like, oops, what can I do?
And he knew during the Prismatic release, as soon as an hour, like not even 45 minutes in, they go from a 4 limit
4
to
to 2, yeah.
It's like, oh.
And they're
here
just
we
at,
go.
like, they started Journey at 2.
Yes.
So
They wouldn't even let you get 4.
Nope.
So it's like, is what it is, boys.
Yeah.
Gotta pay the scalpers prices now.
Yep, the market has shifted from where it was, 6 months ago, and people need to, I guess you don't need to adapt, but you're going to have a very hard time collecting if you don't.
Yes.
Because the availability of products are different, the prices are different. The good news is, even though you're paying more for Journey Together, if you're one of those guys that likes to open things, even the cheap cards aren't cheap, right? So, like, random Scarlet Violet block set, right? Most of your just normal art rares are only a couple bucks a piece, right? The boxes were cheaper, the art rares are a couple bucks a piece. This set you're looking at like $20, $30 at least. All the EVs are super expensive. All the Pokeball Master Balls are super expensive. So that's the upside of the sealed product being expensive, is the singles are going to be too. And make a prediction on the sale price of the first PSA 10 Umbreon, the SIR one. Where do you think that one winds up?
Hasn't it already happened?
No, they haven't been graded yet. English
Oh,
one.
English.
Yeah,
Oh,
not
sorry.
Japanese. English.
Raw, they're going for what, 2,500?
There's been pre-sales of over 2K, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
there's
currently the cheapest one listed on TCG Player is 15, and I haven't checked eBay today yet.
I was gonna say there's that one anomaly where one went for like 18 grand.
That was
a bullshit.
Yeah, that was a
run
fake
up.
one.
Yeah.
They do that. They did that with the Surging Sparks Pikachu too.
Yeah. PSA 10 off the rip. I don't know if I'm going high with it, but 3,500.
I think the first one sells for 5K. I think the first PSA 10 Chase Umbreon sells for 10K or 5K.
I'll let you know when I pull it.
It might happen today.
It might happen today.
We'll see.
Yeah. I think I got 3 or 4 boxes to open from my quick scavenge this morning, plus what I got graciously from DJ. So.
Fingers crossed there's
Yeah.
some good stuff in there. Alrighty, guys. Anybody got anything else for us? Doesn't really look like it. You got anything you want to say or wrap up, or any final words before we're out of here?
Go to sleep, Wiz, because you're going to need all the rest you can when I get home.
You don't want him having excuses, right?
No excuses. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning your time. We're gaming. It's still prime time, my time.
Oh, that's funny. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you are... I love the response. I'm not going to repeat it here, but I love it. Thanks for watching. If you're local to the area, we're in Downriver, Michigan. Come check us out, GameTime Michigan. We always carry a bunch of Pokemon. I get new stuff every day, a bunch of singles, a bunch of sealed product. We do pre-releases, midnight releases. Usually do pre-orders on stuff depending on when I get my numbers in. We always do big cash prize tournaments for the games too. So if you're around, come check us out. Reach out to us on Facebook and... stop in and say hi. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the fun stuff so the algorithm likes me.
And we'll see you in a little bit for the opening.
Have a good one, guys.